G'day guys, Andy here. Got some quality of life improvements for you today, and they've come from cleaning up permissions for you to make it much more easier to use. So what are permissions? Permissions are what people can do in your horse group, i.e. can they add horses, can they remove horses, etc. And then also what permissions people have with your horses. So you as a manager would have permission to see everything about every horse. A strapper might be able to view the horse and perhaps edit maybe the events, and a customer would only be able to view the horse. So let's see what we've done here. So to start off with, I've adjusted the horse group menu to have links to all the key things you need in your horse group, just to make it a bit easier. So you can link to the events menu here, which is how you do your events. You can link to your permissions menu here, which we'll check in a jiff. And you can link to your reports menu here, which just saves you from going to the horse group and finding reports here or events here or permissions here. So you'll notice there's a new button, permissions. If we click on permissions, you can see that we've split permissions up. Now you've got people's farm permissions, which is their horse group permissions. So you can see here, me as the owner, I can do everything on this horse group, and Ashton, he can't do anything with this horse group because he's a strapper. So I can update that, and I can then go back to permissions, and I can pick people's horse permissions. So what can each person do with each horse? So me as the owner, I can do basically everything with every horse. And if I go to permissions here, Ashton can't see Hornet, but he can do stuff with other horses. Those are the same things that were there present, that used to be there with this horse permissions button. Okay, so that horse permissions there is what Ashton can do with horses, and then in permissions and here you can see what Ashton can do with horses. So they link to the same page, so you can find there wherever headspace you're in. What I've also done is I was asked by my Brains Trust, they added a horse and they wanted to be able to go through all the people and see the person for that, see the permissions for that horse. So now we've got horses people permissions. So if we pick a horse like Gambit, this is what each person can see and do with Gambit. So as the owner here, I can do everything and Ashton can just view it. So that should save you some time. That there is now accessible via this new button, People's Permissions. So next to a horse, you can click on People's Permissions and see what your people can do with that horse. So that's great if you add a client horse. You can quickly click on People's Permissions, give the customer view access, all your staff, view and edit access, and you get full access. The other functionality improvement we've done, which will save you time, is created some defaults. So what that is you can assign, when a horse is added, what everyone in your horse group's default permissions for that horse are. So in this case, obviously I'm everything, and by default Ashton can just edit events because he's my strapper who does all the work. He can't edit the horse. I don't want him uploading files and videos and stuff. Then when a horse is added, the system will look at the default permissions. If there's no permissions there already, it will copy over the defaults. Okay, so just be aware of that. So then you can, like if you add a horse, you'd then go to their permissions and make sure that the right permissions have been added. So hopefully that makes it easier for you. Permissions were a little bit of a swamp before. They'd grown organically over the years that HorseRecords have been present, and now we've brought them back together into one thing, one menu. So once again, you just go here and you go to permissions under Andy's horses, or indeed you can click on here and go to permissions here. Give it a go. Let me know how you go, and I'll speak to you next time. Cheers.